I came out of a failed documentary editing project and sought refuge in a yoga class, but I felt it wasn't enough. So I decided to run a half marathon. When I finished my first goal, I felt I could run a full marathon, and I did.
Just that feeling of being in a warrior pose is like, and that gives you that sensation. If you imagine you're a warrior, you're going to be a warrior and you're going to run. You're going to run. And doesn't it feel so good when you're in Warrior 1 or 2 or 3, especially in Warrior 3?
Mm-hmm.
So if you get that feeling of feeling like a warrior, I think that might help you to move forward and run faster.
Last year when I was running something like 21 miles, and I thought, why not document this whole training process and running while I actually attempt to set a goal, which was participate in another marathon and finish it in 3 hours, 10 minutes, 59 seconds, which is the goal for qualifying for Boston. I'm going to be training for a span of 7 months. I will be running in snow, rain perhaps, and then in the end, unbearable Chicago heat. So that's what I want to do.
I'm very sure that you'll do it.
Así que cuando una persona quiere hacer algo y se esfuerza, se puede hacer.
I thought it was a little daring, but I think you've got it in you. I mean, dedication. It's all about dedication, man.
And I still think it's going to be hard, but, if you do it, you do it.
I thought about trying for this year, but I don't even think I'm there yet. Again, but if it's something that anything's possible, you can do.
As runners, we face our challenges and struggles head on, like warriors do. These are my companions in battle, backing this project. Will you? Join me on this journey I call Second Wind, the quest for Boston.
Sol Trujillo was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming in 1951. With the expansion of the railroad system, his parents had moved to Cheyenne in search of work.
My father was a laborer, and my mother, helped out where she could. Most people don't think about a lot of Latinos in a place called Wyoming, or, specifically in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So when we grew up as unique individuals, meaning the only Latinos. There were places where Latinos couldn't go, some places that said no Mexicans were allowed. My father, he loved music, and so he had a group called Sol Trujillo and his Mariachi Brass. So when I was young, he started me on the trumpet. So there's many life lessons that are part of growing up. But the one thing that always stood out for me, given what my parents said, was, try to pursue whatever it is that you wanted.
Sol took his parents' advice and becomes the first in his family to attend college. He washes dishes and plays music with his father's band on weekends to pay for school. He was the first student at the University of Wyoming to receive an MBA degree in just 2 semesters. And it was while attending college that he marries, and shortly thereafter starts his family of 3 beautiful girls. In 1975, Sol goes to work for AT&T, and 7 years later becomes the youngest executive officer in the company's history. Cruz Reynoso was born in 1931 during the Great Depression to a family of migrant workers in Brea, California. He was one of 11 children.
My parents came from the town of Jalos Totitlan in the state of Jalisco in Mexico. They came north to Arizona, where my dad started working with the railroads. They lived in boxcars, and slowly they moved their way to California. Reaching California, my dad quit the railroads, and my dad and my mom then settled in California, where my dad started working as a farm worker. Well, I think what I learned from my father was the dignity of work and the worth of work. He was a farm worker most of his life, not all his life, most of his life. But he never thought of himself as, quote, just a farm worker. He viewed his work with dignity and being important. And indeed, he viewed that he was helping feed the people of this state, this country, and the world.